Hey guys, John Miller here. In this video, I want to talk about wiring up the stage and how we connect everything into the sound system. So the first thing is you're going to go to Planning Center, and in Planning Center, for the service that you're going to run, you should find a stage plot or a stage layout. And that layout is going to tell you who is playing, who's in the band, and what instruments and where they're going to be on stage. So that's the place to start. You want to look and see what instrumentation you have, who that's going to be. As you get used to this, you'll find that certain people have their own gear. They bring certain things. Maybe a guitarist or a bassist brings in their pedals for their instrument. And so you'll start to learn, okay, this person needs this person needs this, and you'll begin to see the different needs for each of the different bands. So that's the place to start. Now that you have that information, let's look at how we actually wire things up and connect them together. So here I have some of the tools of our trade. And I'll start with this one. So this is an XLR cable. If you have a microphone, so for instance the drum mics, or if you have a vocal mic that's not wireless, it's wired, or MD mic, you're going to be using an XLR cable to connect that microphone to. And you'll notice the connectors on each end are different, so we've got a male and a female, so you'll have to pay attention to which way that goes. And XLR cables are what we refer to as a balanced signal, which just means that it can run a long distance with less noise. So next to that we have what we refer to as an instrument cable or a 1/4-inch cable. You could also say that it's an unbalanced cable, unbalanced signal. And that just means it can't run as far without introducing noise into the system. So we'll usually use cables like this to connect to guitars, bass, keyboards as well. And then those often will go to a DI box. So DI stands for direct injection, which just means you're not using a microphone, you're going straight into the sound system. And so we're going to plug in a 1/4-inch from an instrument on one side, and then we'll plug in the XLR on the other side, and then that'll go into the floor box to the soundboard. You'll notice there are two different boxes here, and the first word in each of them gives them away. So the one on the left is a passive DI, and the one on the right is an active DI, which means that it needs phantom or 48-volt power. It's a little, I don't know if I'd say better quality, but it'll end up being a stronger signal, potentially less noisy. So we generally use a J48 for instruments that are battery powered, and we can use a JDI for instruments that are plugged in, like a keyboard or a pedal board from an electric guitar or a bass. Also on these DI boxes, you'll see a bunch of buttons and different things that it can do. Our standard setup has all those buttons out, not in. The main one here is this pad, so that'll simply knock the signal down by 15 dB, and we don't usually need that. So we'll leave the pad off and let it come full strength to the soundboard. While I'm at it, I'll mention there's also a ground lift switch, this one here. You would use that if you're hearing a constant hum on a particular channel. So if you're hearing coming through a channel, you can use that to eliminate a ground loop. Hopefully your systems, and most of our systems, are designed well and don't have ground loop issues, but every now and then they show up and you got to deal with them. So those are a few of the things. This is a tuner pedal, so often our signal chain might look something like this. We'd be going from the instrument into the tuner pedal, from the tuner pedal into the DI, from the DI through an XLR cable, so those cables would both be 1/4-inch. then this one would be an XLR cable into the floor box that goes to the console. All right, another important aspect of our job is keeping things clean, and in this case, rolling up cables correctly. So I'm going to show you how to do a cable with the over-under method. So you might be tempted just to coil it up however you feel like. Well, that's fine, except that when you get done, you end up with a whole bunch of twists in the cable, and that's not what we want. Versus an over-under method, which I'm going to show you here in a second, but the purpose of over-under method is you twist one way and then back the other way, and one way and then back the other way, so that when you pull it out, it all lays nice and straight, and you don't have any twists in the cable. So there's a couple of ways to do it that all end up with the same result. So if you Google and go look at YouTube videos, you'll see people doing it different ways. I'll show you kind of the two that I like. They both start with the end of the cable facing towards you in your non-dominant hand. And then one is to take the cable and pinch it between your two fingers, your thumb and your first finger. And as you take it and roll it up into your hand, twist it. So you're going to twist it first one way, and then you're going to slide your hand down, and then you're going to twist it back so that it lays on top of your wrist. See how the cable is laying on my wrist this time? So I twisted the cable back the other way on the second. So I'm going to do a forward twist. Notice the cable's down below me. And then I'm going to do a backwards twist. My hand went inside the cable this time. So a forward twist and then a backward twist. It'll take you some practice. Another way to do it is to do the forward twist like I showed you, and then flip your hand and reach with your thumb pointed down, reach the cable down here, and then when you bring it up to lay it in your hand, you've just done the backward twist. So you've got a forward roll, and then flip your hand upside down, and you've got a backward roll. So those are two ways to do it. Obviously, there are others, but there you have over-under.